Well, last Sunday, I talked about how we all are really made of stardust. And as I got to thinking even more about it, I considered that the very air that we breathe must also have stardust in it. And is it then possible that it's the same air that perhaps Jesus breathed, that Muhammad breathed, that Buddha Siddhartha Gautama breathed, that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore breathed, that all our ancestors breathed? Now, a member told me that she now more deeply understands the 12 powers and how they're always available to us. I love that. I so appreciate all the insights and discoveries that we experience, and knowing, of course, that there's always more. Well, now that we know who we are and what we are, spiritual human beings composed of stardust, perhaps we're ready to explore faith in all its permutations. Now, when you came into the sanctuary today, you should have been handed a recipe card worksheet. Because today and the next 2 Sundays are going to be interactive with opportunities to participate if you want to. And if you're watching online, as I said earlier, go to our website, unityhartford.org, scroll down to about the middle, over to your right, and you'll be able to open it up and download your own recipe card. So, before we can start creating our recipe, we have to really understand the ingredients. So we're going to clarify some of our terms. And we're going to begin with faith. What is faith? In the dictionary, it says a strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension or consciousness rather than proof. It also says that faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something with or without proof. So we can have faith in a higher power, and we can have faith in lots of things or in lots of people. So everyone is always saying to me, you should use AI, artificial intelligence, in your talks. Never too keen on that, but I thought, well, let me just see what AI says. And it wasn't bad. Here's what it says. Faith involves believing in something, whether it's a higher power, a set of religious tenets, or even the inherent goodness of humanity. It also includes trusting in that belief, even when faced with uncertainty or doubt. So I started with one word, faith, and AI has given me 2 more, belief and trust. Let's see where Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore goes with these terms. And so Mr. Fillmore about faith says this, that faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. So we know what we're perceiving is. Our mind is being aware, it's being conscious, understanding, the understanding mind. And it's linked with the power to shape substance. So that's where our imagination comes into play and what we call manifestation, creating out here. He also goes on to say that faith is spiritual assurance the power to do the seemingly impossible. It is a magnetic power that draws to us our heart's desire from the invisible spiritual substance, from spirit. Faith is a deep inner knowing that that which is sought by us is already ours for the taking. I wonder if we really believe that. It's all there if we choose to believe. And that takes us to the word belief. What's belief? Well, it's an inner acceptance of an idea as true. Belief, and this is again from Mr. Fillmore, belief is closely related to faith. Belief, though, functions consciously and subconsciously. We may not be aware of the many false individual and collective beliefs that we are living from as they exist mostly without awareness or even us questioning them. They often exist in our subconscious, especially about thoughts about ourselves and our world that we just take as truth. Faith is more than mere belief. It is the very substance of that which is believed. And here's the part I love, that faith works by love. Thoughts of condemnation, thoughts of hatred or resistance must be released and divine love declared. And then faith works unhindered. And this certainly makes sense to me. So many of our Unity people define God as love. But what about that word trust? We also have trust. Trust is a weaker brand of faith. As a rule, people who merely trust God, trust Spirit, do not really understand the law. And if they did, they would affirm the presence and power of the divine until the very substance they desired was brought forth. Now, there's one other word that neither AI or that AI did not identify, and that is this word hope. So many of us, I hope this happens, right? Hope is the expectation of good in the future. It is a quality of sense mind because it is subject to time. Faith is the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. It is of spirit, so it goes beyond time and space. So when you say, I hope, you're also saying, not now. There is nothing wrong with any of these words: faith, belief, trust, hope. Mr. Fillmore and the dictionaries are simply describing these words and perhaps wanting us to bring awareness to what may seem like subtle distinctions. And yet, it is these very distinctions that will make all the difference in your faith recipe. And sometime I'm gonna come down, talk to you. I have to follow recipes to cook. I don't know, maybe you don't, but I do. And I have become very aware of some ingredients that can make or break a recipe. And also, if I go, I'm just gonna throw that in, and I didn't measure it, okay, not good. So I have to have these with me. Just want to make sure I tell you everything I want to tell you. Okay, so looking at your faith recipe card, you will see that the first item asks you where you place your faith. Let's get real. I know some will say, I only place my faith in God. I only place my faith in spirit. Let's get real. I want you to really bring awareness to your life. There's nothing wrong with saying that you place your faith in some people, in some things, there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. Over the last year, it became clear to me that I do have faith in our democracy. I know. And in the goodness of people. Now, you may scoff at that and call me incredibly naive, okay? And maybe I am. But despite everything that happened, I do have faith. I also have faith in science and in our individual and collective ability to bring solutions to our problems, big and small. So I've gone through this and said, what do I have faith in? Yeah. You see, I deeply believe that if a problem exists, so does the solution. And if there is a deep desire in your heart, then that desire is just waiting to be met. In fact, someone gave me a sign, and if you go in my office, you'll see it above the credenza, and it says, "She believed she could, so she did." And as an aside, and kind of going back to Stardust also, years ago I heard they did a special program about Leonardo da Vinci. And Leonardo da Vinci is someone who truly believed, I don't know if he knew about Stardust, but he truly believed we were all one. So that if one person learned something, then that learning was available to everyone. So if someone learned how to fly a plane, well, then we could all learn how to fly a plane. And he truly believed that. And so you can see how that played out in his life. You know, I think he even was responsible for the first flying idea, okay? But he was a sculptor, he was a painter, he was many things. And it all came back to his belief that if he believed he could, so he did. So thinking about what you have faith in, I'd love to hear if anyone wants to share. I just told you all my secrets, okay? So, does anybody want to share what they have faith in? Anyone? Lois.
I have faith in the inner voice of God.
Absolutely. Lois has faith in the inner voice that is of the divine, is of God, right? And you have access to it all the time, right? Yeah. Thank you, Lois. Who else? What else do you have faith in? Angela.
I have faith in our interconnectedness.
You have faith in our interconnectedness. Wonderful. Another Leonardo. Okay. Yes, Karen.
I have faith that everything that happens to us is a gift.
That everything that happens to us is a gift. Okay. Gail.
Like you, I have faith in our ability to solve problems.
Here we go. Thank you. Our ability to solve problems. Well, let's see if anyone else first. Anyone else want to share? Joanne.
I have faith that the wisdom of the divine comes to us from many directions.
There we go. The wisdom of the divine comes from many directions. Beautiful. Okay. Anyone else? Willie.
I have faith that good will always overcome.
There we go. Good will always overcome evil. Yeah. That arc of justice that Martin Luther King talks about. Yes. Who else? Sue.
I have faith in the inherent goodness of
Have faith in the inherent goodness of everyone. Yeah. So do I, even though it's difficult at times. I agree. Sometimes we're challenged on that one. I get it. Okay. Angela, do you have another one?
I believe, I have faith in the creative power of the universe.
She is, Angela said that she has faith in the creative power of the universe. Absolutely. Thank you. Lynn.
I have faith in divine love within me never dies.
That divine love within her, and I assume within everyone, never dies. Yeah, it's always there. Well, thank you for everyone who shared. And these are, I'm going to encourage you to give some more thought to it throughout the week. Become aware. When you're doing something, I have faith that the sun's going to come up every day. Right? There's some things that are just, I have faith that there's gravity's going to hold me down. Okay? So there's other things. There's some things that we absolutely take for granted. So give some thought to that. There's no wrong or right here. There's awareness here. Okay? So the next part of your recipe card asks you to describe what God or spirit or the higher power is to you. Now, we're not going to focus on that part today, but we will next Sunday. So take some time today, during the week, and jot down some notes, and next Sunday, I'd love to hear your beliefs and ideas about your God. Even if you don't believe in a God, that's okay too, right? So as we go through the next several weeks, the next 2 weeks, I want you to think about your own faith stories. We all have them. We have faith stories. They may have to do with God, they may have to do with spirit or a higher power, or they may not. Okay? But I want you to really be thinking about them and be willing to take some time to dissect those stories so you can better understand and be aware of your beliefs and what ingredients you want to add to your faith recipe. Some ingredients you used, you may not want to use again. Perhaps you want to even get rid of them completely, get them off that ingredient shelf. I mean, perhaps things like shame or worry or fear. They're also part of the ingredients for many of us. And remember that word hope that I talked to you about? Okay. Well, if you want to include that in your faith recipe, there's another one you better include along with it, and that's called patience. And you might want to double that dose. Okay? So, I'm going to share with you one of my faith stories. And this, I try never to ask you to do something that I won't do. Okay? So this is my faith story. All right? And it's a little long, and only because I want you to get an understanding of all the ingredients I used. So when you come back next week, please don't make your faith story as long as mine. Okay? So this is, I was around 5 or 6, and I started having trouble seeing. And my mom took me to the doctors, and they discovered that I, at this early age, was nearsighted, and I would have to wear glasses. I was not happy. At that age, I didn't want to look any different from anyone else, and I didn't know any kids wearing glasses. All I know were these old folks wearing glasses. So I was not the least bit happy about this. My mother very wisely allowed me to pick out my own glasses, which ended up being pink with rhinestones. I thought they were glamorous. But still, I wasn't happy at all. And I was raised Catholic, and I prayed to God to fix my eyes. Well, guess what happened? They didn't get fixed. They did not get fixed. And I got to thinking, maybe this was just not something that God wanted to do. You know, I was just kind of stuck with this. But then as I went through grade school, I got to 7th grade, and I had to wear bifocals. So I went from lovely children calling me 4 eyes to being called 6 eyes. And at that time, there were no invisible lines. I was not happy. I remained unhappy. I just wanted to see without glasses. Why was that so difficult? And of course, I complained all the time, as children are wont to do. Okay. But in high school, the eye doctor called my mom and said, hey, they have this new thing. Yes, this is how old I am. They have this new thing out called contact lenses. And I think this would be great for Christine, because he was tired of hearing me complain. And so I went in, ran to get contact lenses. Well, I ended up having to try every single type of new contact lens that came out because my eyes don't tear enough, okay? And I kept cutting my cornea. If you've ever done that, it's painful. But each new contact lens came out, I was ready. Okay, I'll try that one. Same thing happened. So eventually, I had to give up on that, and I decided that I had long ago given up the pink rhinestone glasses, but now they were making cool glasses, right? So many of you are wearing cool glasses, and so I decided I was just going to invest in cool-looking glasses, and I got very content with that, and they became, you know, a fashion accessory. But deep down, there was always that desire to be able to see without glasses. That never went away. It was always there. But I decided, let it go. You know, let's just be okay with what is. You know, calling it all good, right? But then one day, a congregant said to me, you know, he was funny because he didn't believe that someone else could pray for you. You know, he would never say, your prayers don't do anything for me. But he believed his prayers for himself could. And he was praying that his eyesight would get better and he wouldn't need glasses. And I went, you can do that? Because to me, my eyes were just what I was born with, you know. You know, you're born with, you know, the type of hair you have, you know, just something. It wasn't like my eyes were ill and needed to be cured. You know, it's just what they were, okay. And I thought, boy, and I'm a minister at this point, okay. And I thought, it never dawned on me that I could pray for this. So I started praying that I could see without glasses, because that had been my mantra from 5 years old. I want to see without glasses. So that became my prayer. And off and on over the years, you know, I would remember to pray, you know, that I could see without glasses. So somewhere along there, a couple years ago, I discovered that I had cataracts, okay? And I went to a doctor who created the laser procedure that they now use for cataracts. And because I was a little nervous about my eyes, so I wanted to see him. So I saw him, and he said, yeah, we could do it. You're a perfect candidate for cataracts, and we could put these lenses in, and it might be that you could see without glasses. Oh my goodness. And you know what I said to him? I can't even imagine that. Yeah, exactly. I know, when I left him and got in the car and realized what I said no, you're not saying that anymore. Because what I heard him say is, You're going to be able to see without glasses. He didn't say that, but that's what I heard. So that's what I went on. And my deep desire was just bubbling up. And this was going to finally happen. I was praying for the surgery, everything. So I go in, get one eye done, and then, they have you come back the next day. Well, I came back the next day angry, upset. Because what had happened, I had spent my whole life now we're talking 65 years, from being able to see close up and not far away. And the lens he put in was allowing me to see far away but not close up. Oh, no. This does not work. No, no way. I felt so unsafe. And when I went to the associate doctor and I said, no. And she says, oh, this is what we do. This is how we do it. I go, no. This is not how you're doing it. No, absolutely not. You see, I'm going to see without glasses. You don't know that, but this is what's going to happen. And I am now crying. I am so upset. And she says, all right, well, I'm going to go. Let me call the doctor, and I'll get back. Let me just sit here. I'll be back. And so I thought, okay, let's get quiet here. I'm shaking. I'm so upset. And I go, for every problem, there is a solution. That's a belief of mine, right? So, let me breathe. Let me do those deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Get this heart rate down. Close my eyes. Go within. There is a solution. There is an answer. I know it. I know it's there. I know it. And I just sat in that silence. And all I heard was silence. And then the doctor came back in. And I opened my eyes, and she said, I couldn't get a hold of the doctor, but I left a message. And I said, I don't know how to say this, but I think I have an idea. Okay. Like I know what I'm doing here. What if, in this eye, we do the opposite? This eye could see close up and not far away, and my brilliant brain will figure it out. She said, we don't really do that. Not many people can handle that. And I said, I've been wearing bifocals since I was 7. I think my brain can handle this. All right, I've never really heard him do that, but let me talk to the doctor. He'll call me back, and I'll call you later today. So I went out and left, and I knew this or something better. There was a solution here. And my little tiny brain that knew nothing, came up with that one idea. There must be others. So she called me back later in the day, and she said, I talked to the doctor. He's only ever done that for one patient, which was his wife. But he's willing to do it if you were come back tomorrow. And we're going to put a contact lens that would mimic what we would put in your eye. So you could see, this eye would see close up, but not far away. And we're going to see how you do with depth perception, walking up and down stairs, reading, all this stuff. So I said, I'm in. I'm there. What time? So I came. They put it in. And my marvelous brain did all the work it was supposed to, and I was fine. So the next week, I go in for the surgery. The doctor sits me down and says, I'm worried. Are you sure? I only did this for my wife because she nagged me. But if I put this in, that's it. If it doesn't work, we can't undo it. So I said, no, it's going to work. I know it's going to work. I have prayed on this, and this is it. So it's all right. So even before he has me on the surgical bed, he's ready to start, and he goes, Are you absolutely yes? No, right. That did not change me. I was committed. I was this desire to see without glasses. I knew that it was being met. Maybe not in the way that I thought, but it was being met. And so after the surgery, and if you've been through this, you know it's pretty quick, okay? My brain worked it out. And it's been 3 years now, no glasses. No glasses, yeah. My own little miracle, my own miracle. So, could this have happened another way? Absolutely. Did it have to take 65 years? No. It happened the way it happened because of me. Because of how I approached this desire. So, are you able, having listened to, I'm sorry, forgive me for the length, but are you able to see any ingredients that I used in this faith story? Yeah. Prayer. What else? Pardon me? Action. Yes. What else? Who had hope? Mm-hmm. That's why I have a lot of patience. 65 years. Mm-hmm. Lynn. Trusting your inner guidance. Somebody said belief. Thank you, Patty. Belief. What did I believe? There was an answer. For every problem, there's an answer. For every desire, it's already been met. That's my belief. What else? Anything else? Persistence, absolutely. You had one because you said that didn't scare you. Okay. What did I need in that? Courage, right? Courage. Mm-hmm. Joanne? Faith, absolutely. It had to go, although I had a belief, I had to use that belief to then step into faith, right? Imagination. Lois? Yes. All things are possible. Yeah. And it started when a congregant said to me, I'm praying. And I went, oh, there's an idea. Yeah. So as you go through the week, think about one or two of your faith stories and what ingredients you used in those faith stories. There might be some ingredients that you identified that you may not want to use anymore. Like, I'm not using hope anymore, okay? I don't want to wait 65 years, okay? So think of your own faith stories. Think of what ingredients they are. Use your faith ingredient card, your faith recipe card. And if you're up to it, if you feel like it, next week, come in with that faith story. And perhaps share it with us. And together, maybe we can discern what ingredients you used. What are those that, really spoke to your heart, to your idea. And so we're going to go next week also a bit deeper into faith. And especially looking to our ideas and beliefs about our God, our higher power. Okay? Until then, bring awareness to your thoughts, your beliefs, all the ingredients that you use probably every day without really thinking of it. And as you do, bless them as all good things. Namaste.